Last week in Michigan politics, the state budget debate continues with Republican House Speaker Matt Hall detailing his party's proposal. We have the latest in an ongoing budget battle in Lansing. Plus, a major waterfront development in Muskegon is getting pushback from the community, what the city is proposing and what residents are saying. And it was a tale of dueling Labor Days in West Michigan as celebrations were held in downtown Grand Rapids honoring the greatest generation. Protests over the United States billionaire class also lined streets around the state. Hi there, I'm Julia Gorman filling in for Josh Alburtus, and this is your 13 on your side rundown. Michigan Speaker of the House Matt Hall is refuting critics of the recently approved state budget from House Republicans. He held a press conference September 3rd detailing the budget proposal and criticizing Democrats. Following the budget's approval in the House, Democratic floor leader John Fitzgerald of Wyoming called the budget reckless. He says the proposal aims to slash about $6 billion in critical services like maternal health, food assistance, public safety, and other, quote, affordability programs. Speaker Hall pushed back against those claims, saying that the GOP budget is eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse.
You see, we fund the roads fully, $3.4 billion without a tax hike, highest education funding of any plan. No Democrat plan has more money for education. We fund the Public Safety Trust Fund, which is going to help our communities that are mostly in Democrat places get all of the money they need to fight violent crime. That's going to be really important. We do no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security, and the budget is smaller than it was before, which is really important to our caucus. We eliminate over $5 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse.
Hall also refuted claims by critics that rural hospitals could face closures following federal Medicaid cuts that help fund operations.
Yeah, one of the biggest lies I'm hearing are from the hospitals, and I really think they should consider replacing their leadership. Is his name Brian Peters? Not a very good leader. He's leading their organization in a direction toward the Democrat Party. But I look at this, I mean, you don't hear, when are the hospitals going to say thank you to President Trump for the $250 million Michigan's expected to get from the One Big Beautiful Bill for rural hospitals?
Brian Peters, CEO of the Michigan Health and Hospital Association, responded to Hall's statement, calling it a personal attack and saying in part, quote, "The fact is the rural health transformation funding is a lottery ticket that pales in comparison to the more than $8.5 billion hospitals would lose from state and federal cuts. State lawmakers have no influence on when or how much federal rural money is distributed. At best, it would only make up for 3% of these cuts if it comes to fruition," end quote. Now that both the state House and Senate have approved their versions of the state budget, the two chambers have until October 1st to finalize and pass a bipartisan budget to avoid a government shutdown. The fiscal year for most school districts also begins on the 1st of October, making it especially difficult to budget plan for the remainder of the school year with no funding yet finalized. And the Michigan House of Representatives nearly unanimously passed legislation laxing regulations on Amber Alerts following a murder-suicide after a failed custody exchange. The bills hope to prevent similar tragedies in the future. 13 on your side's Kelly Lichter has that story.
The House chamber erupted in applause Thursday as House Bills 4517 and 4518, Rowan's Act, passed.
I urge my colleagues to support this bill, this package, not just for Rowan, but for every child who deserves to be found and for every parent who deserves to be heard.
The passage of these bills comes a year after 6-year-old Rowan Morey was found dead in an apparent murder-suicide in Isabella County after a failed custody exchange between his father in Isabella County and his mother, Brandy Morey Poles, in Caledonia.
And I'm going to change the way things happen for Amber Alerts for children. Parental kidnapping deserves just as much justice as any kidnapping ever.
Since Rowan's death, Morey Poles and her family have advocated for the two House bills so no other child ends up like Rowan.
This legislation, better known as the Rowan Act, will give Michigan State Police the authority to issue an Amber Alert when they believe a child is in danger in the cases that fall outside the traditional abduction definitions.
Representative Jerry Nyer, who represents Isabella County, says no Amber Alert was issued for Rowan because of the alert's narrow criteria. Representative Angela Regas, who represents Caledonia, says these bills will help law enforcement issue Amber Alerts even when the case doesn't fit the definition of abduction.
Recognizes that danger doesn't always come with flashing lights or dramatic headlines. Sometimes it's a delayed return.
Both bills passed 104-1, with Representative Steve Cara voting no both times.
The debate surrounding a development in East Grand Rapids continues. There is a new and smaller proposal from the developers, but some residents are still not on board. If approved, the buildings would be no more than 5 stories tall, and there will be more green space added to the area. The developers also addressed concerns at a recent meeting about pedestrian safety and changed the traffic flow. The plan was originally introduced back in January. Gaslight investors want to add housing and businesses to an 8-acre space at Wealthy Street and Lakeside Drive.
The massive height and unit count proposed here do not read as a transition from our single-family blocks to the village core, as they read as a jump. This design would cast longer shadows and effectively change the feel of adjacent streets in one single vote. That's not a transition, it's a rupture, and a rupture our entire village will feel, and it is unrevocable. Please think about the character of our village.
The commission did not vote on this plan at that meeting. More discussion is expected in the future, and developers hope to have approval from the city by next year. An automation technology leader is bringing its global headquarters here to West Michigan. After evaluating several locations, JR Automation announced Zeeland will be its new home. The headquarters is part of a $72 million investment into the area that's predicted to bring 150 new jobs. The new facility will combine 3 JR Automation locations across Michigan into a new state-of-the-art campus, which will include office space and manufacturing. The new headquarters will incorporate environmental features with a goal to power baseline operations entirely through renewable energy. The announcement comes just after a meeting in Tokyo between Hitachi executives, JR Automation leadership, and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. The governor said in a statement, quote, "This project will retain and create good-paying jobs, strengthen our advanced manufacturing sector, and reinforce Michigan's position as a hub for cutting-edge technology. I will continue going anywhere and working with anyone to bring jobs and investments back home to Michigan." And continue she is. On September 3rd, the governor left for another investment trip, this time to Japan and Singapore. This is the first time a Michigan governor has made an official investment visit to Singapore. Throughout the visit, Whitmer will be meeting with company executives, government leaders, and trade representatives. She plans on addressing the impact of tariffs and trade policy shifts and showcase the state as a stable and attractive destination for investment. Japan is Michigan's 6th largest trading partner, with 415 Japanese-owned businesses in the state, supporting more than 37,000 jobs. Michigan also has strong trading ties with Singapore, including $283 million of exports to the country in 2024. The Michigan delegation will also be attending the Midwest U.S.-Japan Association Conference that runs September 7th through the 9th. Last week, residents held 2 informal meetings over the proposal to gut a Muskegon campground. The proposal aims to replace Fisherman's Landing with new privately owned developments along the waterfront. The development has residents concerned over some of the changes the project could bring to that area. Yeah. Oh, from the top? Okay. 3, 2. If the plan gets the green light, Fisherman's Landing Campground would be replaced by the Mart Dock, which would turn into public access to the lake. City leaders say the waterfront development would completely transform the area in the next 25 years. But not all residents want to see this change. Fisherman's Landing has been around since 1968, many showing support for the campground, staying right where it is, with signs saying, quote, "Save Fisherman's Landing." Residents held 2 informal meetings to discuss the proposal at Fisherman's Landing Pavilion. The city says the plan aims to connect downtown with the lakefront, expand public access to Muskegon Lake and River, attract visitors, and support economic development and modern port operations. A draft agreement between the city and Mart Dock is set to be presented at a city commission work session on September 8th. Activists took to the streets on Labor Day to protest against the billionaire class. Coming up, we talked with people at those rallies about why they think their message of workers over billionaires is important. Labor Day is often associated with barbecues, and a day off work is that final hurrah of summer. But some here in West Michigan say the holiday is about so much more. The events were labeled Workers Over Billionaires, and those that participated say they're worried about the direction that workers' rights are headed. 13 on your side's Nick Nelson went to several demonstrations and has that story.
I actually work on disability. So I have a DSNAP program, Medicare Medicaid savings program, and the Project 25 is going to cut that off in 2027.
Pamela Kiss lives in Battle Creek, but traveled up to Lowell for a Workers Over Billionaires demonstration on Fulton Street. It was one of several events across West Michigan on this Labor Day to show the holiday isn't just about having the day off. Union organizer and Michigan District 29 Senate candidate Ivan Diaz says for too long, working people have been ignored by both political parties.
Whether that's raising taxes on working class people or cutting things like Medicare or Medicaid or food stamp programs, all of those things hurt working class people. And so that's why it's so important to have events like this one here today.
Indy Next Gen, an organization devoted to getting young people into politics, hosted the Muskegon event. Co-founder Maggie Doyle says the holiday is about celebrating the contribution labor unions have made.
It's important for us to be out here supporting unions, letting them know that we're grateful for them and the work that they're doing, and that we've all benefited from the hard work they've put in and hope to continue to support them moving forward.
Tom Burke, president of the local International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees chapter, emceed the Grand Rapids event in Garfield Park, featuring music and booths of several organizations that he says are crucial in forming a coalition that can help improve workers' rights.
We stand up for women, LGBTQ folks. We want equality for everyone in the workplace, and we want dignity and respect.
A West Michigan school district is using AI technology to improve safety at their schools. How that technology works and who's funding the ambitious approach, that's next. Artificial intelligence is becoming more and more frequent in our daily lives, and one company is even using it to try and prevent school shootings. Through grant funding from the state of Michigan, a West Michigan school district is using an ambitious AI software aimed to identify a number of different firearms using surveillance cameras in real time, allowing to potentially alert authorities before a shot is even fired. 13 on your side's Nick Nelson spoke with the company and the superintendent of the Mason County Central School District, where that technology is currently in use.
Back in the day, Sandy Hook really shook me up, and it shook up some our sheriff here in Mason County, and we reached out to each other and just said, we've got to do something.
The 2012 school shooting that took the lives of 28 people was the beginning of Mason County Central Superintendent Jeff Mount wanting to do everything he could to make sure students in his district were safe from gun violence. After receiving 3 separate grants from the state of Michigan to improve security, Mount got wind of a system called Zero Eyes, an artificial intelligence-based software that can detect guns using the school's security cameras. Co-founder Sam Alimo says the idea came after the 2018 Parkland shooting, where security camera footage was only used after the fact.
The cameras would be used forensically after a mass shooting. And that was where Mike got the idea, how do we take this security camera, this archaic technology, and make it left of bang? Make it so that we pick up a gun before a shot is fired. Camera's already there. Why not develop a solution that can tell you there's a gun there before a shot happens?
Over Zoom, Alimo demonstrated how the technology is used, showing an image from an actual incident where a heavy weapon was brandished outside a school. He says it's because of examples like this he'd like to see the program expand, potentially to other districts in Michigan.
And our clients understand when they see this, potentially what didn't happen that could have. So this is the value proposition. This is why I would love to work with the largest schools in Michigan to make sure that this never happens.
Mount agrees, saying his district has been equipped with this technology in some form for 2 years now, and is confident the schools are safer than they'd be without it.
We can keep adding layers and layers on to our emergency operations plans, our school safety, and this was another layer that I feel really, really good about, just because I think some of these things could buy us the time that we need to save lives.
After last week's shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic school, Alimo says this program is now more important than ever.
A lot of people talk about thoughts and prayers. A lot of people talk about gun control. A lot of people talk about ideology, mental health. everyone should be talking about those. But we have a solution literally for right now that's working right now that can make a difference.
Still to come, commemorating the end of World War II 80 years ago, how the city of Grand Rapids is honoring those who served and worked during the World War II era. This is what it looked like in the skies over downtown Grand Rapids around 12:30 Monday afternoon. The Wings of Honor flyover featured historical World War II aircraft from across West Michigan, including those built at Willow Run near Ypsilanti. It was part of the Greatest Generation celebration that lasted all last week throughout West Michigan. Grand Rapids kicked off the celebration with a parade downtown Monday. Vintage vehicles and machinery lined the streets as folks celebrated those who served and worked in World War II, which ended 80 years ago this week. 13 on your side's Josh Alburtus was in Grand Rapids talking with folks about the celebration supported by the Gerald R. Ford Foundation, which says how incredibly important it is to continue to learn about and honor our nation's history.
Labor Day, a day meant to celebrate the hard labor of the American worker. And this year, many in downtown Grand Rapids honoring the labor of America's veterans.
Kind of looking at honoring soldiers who have done the heavy lifting, along with every other man and woman in America that's built this country.
And as this week marks 80 years since the end of World War II, they recognize the labor and sacrifice of those who fought for their freedom, members of what has been called the Greatest Generation. Monday's parade through the city filled with vintage vehicles, aircraft, and performers. Honoring not just the men who fought in the field and labored for their country, but the women.
It wasn't just the men that were serving, it's the women behind the scenes. They worked in the lumber yards, heavy construction, the steel mills.
It's a history never lost on Wendy Zeeland and her Rosie the Riveter tribute group.
We can do it. Women did.
In a time when their country and democracy called on them, members of the Greatest Generation answered.
There were enough people who didn't know what they were doing when they walked in the doors the first time, but they really learned a lot when they walked out. They changed the world.
A drive spurred by duty and community.
More than anything, they didn't know what they were doing, but they came, they said, I can do it, I'm going to figure this out because I need to save my father, my brother, my boyfriend, my husband, my son. So they did.
Even in a modern nation, many may see as far more divided than that of World War II America. Some still think in sites like this, there is hope.
There's still a common thread of, this is our country, and we'll band together.
And that's the rundown for your week in Michigan politics. Be sure to keep up with all the top political stories of the day, both on air and online at 13onyourside.com. Have a great day.